The most profitable companies since the 2020 lockdown. You have to agree, it's been a ridiculous couple of years, what with the apparent pandemic, but mostly due to the governmental responses to what they've perceived and presented to be a kind of apocalypse. Whichever side of the fence you're on, whether you think the governments of the world have been doing all of these measures like mandating masks, jabs, and lockdowns to protect you, or if you have a much more skeptical opinion, it's hard to argue that businesses, especially those built, run, and operated by the middle classes, have suffered, and in large part have been forced to completely disappear. But some businesses have absolutely thrived in the environment of socially distanced, stay-at-home nothingness. So let's take a look at the most profitable companies since the 2020 lockdown. Welcome back to Wealth Zone. Like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and share the wealth by sharing this video. Number 1. Zoom Communications. You shouldn't be surprised by this one to kick off, as California-based Zoom increased its revenue by 88% in 1 year, from $331 million to $623 million. This wasn't just in the Americas either, though the region does count for 81% of its revenue. But no, the company's success is obviously due to the fact that no one was allowed to leave their house, go to work, send their kids to school, interact with family members, travel, or more or less do anything in a lot of the year of 2020. This was, of course, when the first wave of mania sucked most of the world's population into compliance with the mandates. But the relative defiance of populations in 2021 hasn't stopped Zoom's revenue from hitting $2.26 billion in 2021. Number 2. Peloton Interactive. Wow, these guys did well in 2020. New York's Peloton Interactive is a company that makes exercise equipment and media and saw a 100% growth in revenue in 2020. Of course, people who have been locked in their homes for a fear of a super cold will still want to stay fit, especially the virus is reportedly far more of a threat to the obese. As a result, Peloton's connected fitness products saw a revenue increase of 99%. A subscriptions by over 100, resulting in a total revenue of $1.8 billion. Number 3. Worley Parsons. Australia is a land still very much gripped by panic and oppressive tactics to stop the spread of viruses. And Worley Parsons, an engineering company that provides project solutions and consulting in the resources and energy sectors, saw a growth in 2020 to an amazing 6.9 billion Australian dollars. This was made up across all main lines of its business, including mining, minerals and metals, energy and chemical services, projects, and integrated solutions. This performance isn't really associated with people losing their freedoms though, as it's more to do with it being the first full year of integration of the Energy, Chemicals, and Resources division of Jacobs that Worley Parsons acquired back in April 2019. Number 4. Masan Group. If you've never heard of these, then stay tuned, because Vietnamese Masan Group, a consumer packaged goods company, saw their revenue rocket by 107% between 2019 and 2020, resulting in a total of 37.4 trillion Vietnamese dong. All of the company's business segments benefited, including branded consumer products, its Meat Life brand, and high-tech materials, which itself saw a 58% increase. Now that the Masan Group has its customer retail segment, it can count that in for 40% of its 2020 revenue. And in December 2019, the company acquired a controlling stake in VinCommerce, a division of Vingroup. Number 5. Seagen. Biotechnology experts from Washington, Seagen has recorded a staggering revenue of $2.2 billion in 2020. Which is a 137% increase from 2019. This is thanks to collaboration and license agreement revenues growing almost 600%, and net product sales increasing by nearly 60%. Seagen's various collaborations with New Jersey-based pharmaceutical giant MSD are largely responsible for this, and the two companies have since continued to collaborate, which shouldn't surprise anyone. Number 6. Yinsun. Yinsun is a Malaysian provider of purpose-built assets for the energy industry, a sector whose entire purpose was altered over the last 2 years. Yinson's revenue shot up by 140% year-to-year from 2019 to 2020, hitting 2.5 billion Malaysian ringgit. Its marine and offshore segment that included providing vessels and marine services grew the most by 146%, while other operations fell. But the group's floating and production storage and offloading unit leasing businesses made up for more than 90% of the reported revenue, leading to them having a great year despite the global pandemic. Number 7. Plus 500. What do people stuck at home do? Ask Plus 500. Plus 500 is an Israeli business that provides online trading services, and it experienced a huge surge in trading activity, most likely because no one in the world had any idea what was going on across almost the entirety of 2020 following the beginnings of lockdowns and all the other things that were done to humanity. Their revenues rose over the year from $354 million in 2019 to $872 million in 2020. That's a 146% increase. It shouldn't be a surprise because the number of new customers more than tripled because of the pandemic-supported demand for tech-based operators. Number 8. PennyMac Financial Services. Another Californian company here now, and as that state falls into despair and its population all tries to move to Texas, at least business seems to be booming if you're doing it right. PennyMac Financial Services grew its revenue 151% from 2019 to 2020, going from an already impressive $1.5 billion to $3.7 billion. Loan production increased 180+%, and this can largely be considered to be due to the advantageous conditions for business when the U.S. federal government dropped interest rates in an attempt to offset the damage to the economy from all the restrictions. They were raking it in. Number 9. Quidel. Another Californian company, Quidel manufactures and diagnostic healthcare products, and saw a 211% increase from $554 to $1.7 billion in increased revenue. Of course, medical companies did gangbusters by producing counter-COVID products across the last 2 years, and Quidel's Sofia 2 SARS antigen FIA was the first test to be granted emergency authorization by the FDA. Of course, that strapped a rocket to its revenue, but Quidel wasn't even the most profitable pharma company in California, as that title belongs to Number 10. Blueprint Medicines. Can you believe it? Another business that deals in medicine has done well since 2020. Would the wonders never cease? Massachusetts-based Blueprint Medicines is a company that deals in the development of medicines for people with cancer and hematologic disorders, and it has seen some serious increases in revenue, the largest that we've seen from all the companies that have been analyzed. In 2020 alone, its revenue saw an incredible rise from $66.5 million in 2019 to an absolutely astonishing $793.7 million a year later. That is an increase of over 1,000%. Most of this can be attributed to a 1,000% rise in collaboration revenues in 2020, and in July of that year, the company entered into a worldwide collaboration with Swiss pharmaceutical giant Roche and Genentech, a member of the Roche Group, to develop a commercial medication for the treatment of RET-altered cancers. So, there you have it. 10 companies that actually benefited massively from the COVID lockdowns. It's a shame there are no smaller businesses in that list. But oh well, can you really say you're surprised? What do you think about all of this? Comment down below.